going on today, YouTube? I hope you guys are having a good day. Today's video is going to be my review over a Rough Country 5-inch lift for Ram 2500, pretty much. You know, 4x4 straight axle in the front, and so on. Okay, so this video, it's not going to be long, by the way. Also, so far, real quick, for the truck, it's been riding great. It rides really good. It rides better than it did when I had the stock tires on, and yeah, it rides good. The only thing I have to get done is the alignment. I'm getting that done tomorrow morning at 11 or 11:30ish. I'm getting that done, but other than that, man, I mean, it's solid. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys around, and I'll talk about a couple things that I like and didn't like about the install, product, quality of it, such and such. Okay. All right, so first things first, installation. So the install is pretty up front. Okay, you got your control arms, right, upper and lower, and it comes with these drop brackets. That's going to be the drop bracket for your upper, and that's going to be the drop bracket for your lower. You put those in, you drop your axle, it keeps it leveled. If you guys look here, you see that control arm, how it sits. 1 second. Yeah, you see how it sits right there? That's because of the change in the geometry. All right, so your control arms, the way they work is the more the angle, the more tension is putting on the system. So this system does an excellent job of pretty much keeping your stock ride quality, but you still get a lift out of it. Extended sway links right here, you guys see those. It comes with the Rough Country shocks and the Rough Country coils. Everything hooked up. As for install, everything got installed. The way it got installed, though, was a little challenging. Okay, so my first complaint coming up, I'm gonna get down here so I can show y'all. My first complaint coming up is, so if you see in there, those bolts, right, those are the bolts that are going to be for the drop bracket. This side, you have to drill into it. So what happens is you put one bolt in, that middle bolt right there, you put it in, and then there's a spacer. You can see to the right of it, there's that it's like a spacer. You put that in the middle, and then you tighten it down, and then from there you use the 3 holes, so those 3 surrounding bolts, you use those holes and you drill them out, and then you put the bolts through it and tighten it down. You gotta do that on both sides now. Okay, my issue I had was you cannot get a drill bit in there unless you have a small bit and a super small drill. It's impossible to get a drill in there because of the pumpkin from the diff right here. Okay, Rough Country doesn't mention anything like that, so you kind of get stuck. If this is your first time doing it, you're kind of stuck figuring it out. And by saying figuring it out, meaning wasting time. Okay, because keep in mind the instructions for this says that it takes 4 to 6 hours. Obviously it took me longer. It was more like probably 8 to 10, and also I was doing it in multiple day segments. So that's my first complaint, is that they didn't do a good enough job in the instructions mentioning small things you have to do. The only thing they mentioned that you might have to do is let me think, what was it? Oh yeah, it was the drilling. Well, it said that you might have to drill or grinding. I'm sorry, grinding. You might have to do some grinding to get those drop brackets on. Other than that, though, they didn't mention anything else that you might have to do, which was very, very disappointing. It took me a minute to figure out how to get the drill in there. So what I had to do was, let me go here and show you guys. So what I had to do was, I ended up having to get, I had a 12-inch drill bit, half-inch bit, okay? Because you're supposed to drill these out to 7/16. I had a half-inch, 12-inch bit, and I no crap, I started on this side here, drilled through it, and went through the other side, just kept going. I had to do that. That was the only way I can physically drill it. I wasn't going to buy a smaller drill. There was no other way of physically doing it. So I had to do that. So what that meant was I wasn't able to use the 7/16 supplied hardware. I ended up having to go to the Lowe's. I picked up some grade 8 half-inch bolts, nuts, lock washers. And you can see these ones here. I picked up these. And there's 3 on this side and 3 on the other side. So I had to pick up 6 of them. And I did that. A little frustrating. Not a big deal, whatever. Okay. So that was my first, big complaint on it. It is what it is. Rough Country's customer support was pretty good. They gave me I called them twice. Every time I called them, they always had an answer. They always had what to do. I called them one time because when I was installing the drop arm for the track bar, in the picture it's black and white, and it's, or black and gray, whatever. And in the picture, it does a horrible job showing you the orientation of the drop bracket. Okay, so that's the drop bracket for your track bar. They did a bad job showing you how it's supposed to go up in there. So what happened is that when I would put, I had to, this is another problem. I had to open up the hole on, let's see, what was it? I had to open up the hole on the drop bracket, okay? The hole was off. Why? I have no idea. So what that means is I was not able to put this bolt in, okay, without having the hole off. So I couldn't get the hole in. I couldn't get it lined up to put it in. I don't know what happened. You know, I doubt my frame shifted or it's bent. I highly doubt that was the issue. So I had to open it up a little bit. Kind of annoying. And then once you do that, you go ahead, come up here on top, and there's a little flag nut, or yeah, pretty much a flag nut up here with a square plate. You just put the bolt through, run it down, tighten it, you're good. Okay, hey, that's the new gearbox. Man, that thing look clean. But yeah, so that was an issue I had with them. I had to call them. I had to call them twice about it, because the first time I called, the person didn't give me a good answer. So I called back, and the second time I talked to somebody, they had what I was looking for. They had a good answer. They were like, okay, so your bracket is going to mount to the aft side of that frame, meaning like if you see here how the bracket sits on the inside and then this one sits on the outside, so it's behind the frame. That's what I couldn't understand, because you can't tell from looking at the pictures, you can't tell from reading the description, because the description is like a sentence, so it's not very descriptive. The instructions at times got very vague. So that's one complaint. That's another complaint I had about it. And keep in mind, this is all installation instructions, and they do say in it, they do state that it's highly recommended that a professional does it, which I understand why, because of those reasons, because they're going to have the tools you need in order to do what you got to do. So yeah, but I ended up doing that. I did all of this. We got this done. My buddy helped me towards the end. Now, as for quality of products, once installed, A+. You can't beat it. Honestly, for the deal I got, this was an open box, 5-inch lift, and for the deal I got, you could not have beat it. So, quality-wise of parts is good. Okay, and I mentioned this in one video a while back, but I feel like the reason why grinding and stuff like that is necessary for this truck is because you can't, how do you say it? They can't make it all magic kit. All right, so what that means is that they can't sit here and have an 08 pickup, you know, make it mount perfect to this and still mount the same to like a 2004, 2003. It's just impossible, because measurements are always going to change. So that's why they mention that some grinding may be necessary. The problem is they don't mention what components might need grinding. Okay, so here's another example that they didn't mention this. So this is the drop bracket for your lower control arm. Okay, naturally, when I had this bolt in here, this was not flush. Like, you couldn't get it up to put the bolt in, and the bolt's only so long. So what I had to do, what the problem was right here. When I would put it in, it was hitting this, and it wasn't allowing this arm to swing up all the way. So I had to come with my grinder, and I had to grind here, and on the other side of it, I had to grind it down so that way it had more clearance room to be able to come up all the way. And I grinded just enough so that way I can get the thread on. And then once I got that bolt threaded right there, I ran it down with my impact. So it was a little, I mean, that's another side you can see. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see right there, I had to do the same thing for this side. So right there in that little armpit, that little pocket, I had to grind that up. They didn't mention nothing about that, which was kind of disappointing. I feel like they should. Hopefully maybe somebody from Rough Country watches this video so that way they can get some tips. Another big thing, it would help to have the instructions in color. Even if you go to the website on Rough Country, it's in black and white, which is not very efficient at all. Reason being is because you might read the instructions on something and you don't know what it means, but when you look at the picture, you can figure out what they're saying. Okay, and that helps a lot when it comes to like installation of stuff, so that way orientation wise. Problem is if things are in black and white, it's hard to tell what orientation something has when you install it. So that also added a little challenging effect to it that I obviously overcame, which wasn't a big deal. So this is my personal opinion of it. The rear installation was upfront simple. The instructions were good. I had no issues with the rear One tip I would recommend is if you're going to do the rear, do one side at a time, meaning like take the U-bolts off one side. You know what I'm saying? You can loosen the other side, just don't completely move it, because what happens is if, like this happened with me, if your truck rolls or shifts or your axle shifts, it's a pain in the ass trying to get it to go back up there the right way. I had to use a jack, and I was holding the axle for keeping it from, you know, rotating on the jack, and it was a huge struggle, and I would never want to do it again. So if I had a tip when it came to doing a rear, do one side at a time. Loosen everything up, take the U-bolts off, put a jack underneath, lower it down, put the new block in, jack it up, then go to the other side. You'll be able to get it down low enough, and like I said, if you can't, just go to the other side and loosen it up. That way you get some, you know, some drop, but don't take it out completely, because if you take them both out and you're doing it on the ground, it sucks. If you're doing it on a lift, you're good then. You're good. If you're doing it on a lift, because I've done it on a lift before, and if you're doing it on a lift, you ain't got nothing to worry about, okay? So that's it really when it comes to the rough country lift, man. I mean, other than that, you know, the shocks came out good. Oh, one other thing, and this is super petty, but whatever, they didn't send me the stickers for my shocks, because I was actually looking forward to that. So the way I have stickers for the dual stabilizers in the front, you know, I don't have those for the 4 shocks that go around the truck. So I was a little disappointed they didn't send it to me, but I contacted them, and on the heartbeat, on the fly, they already have some coming out to me. So hopefully I get those soon this week. But yeah, you guys, I mean, this is it. So she came out real good. I'm happy with it. Could not complain about the lift. It rides amazing, and when I say that, I mean it. I'm not BSing or fluffing it up. Like, when I say it rides good, it rides good. The only thing I have a problem with is just the alignment right now, because I have to get alignment tomorrow. You probably can't tell, but you might. But the tires, both of them, they're not straight. One might be, but one is, they're kind of like canted out, if that makes sense. So the steering's a little wavy right now, but that should get fixed tomorrow once the alignment is done. I'm expecting this kit not to have any issues from it. Make sure after 100 miles you retorque everything. If you know, decide to do this type of lift or any lift kit, you always want to make sure you do your retorques, your torque checks after installing all your components, because, you know, with the weight and everything's going to shift, kind of find that centering spot on itself. So you definitely want to do a retorque, and I'm going to do one after 100 miles. I'm going to retorque the control arm bolts, retorque the U-bolts in the back, track bar bracket. I'm going to do it all, okay? So that's it, you guys. That is going to do it for this review. All right, you guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed that review. Like I said, you can do this. You don't have to pay somebody. It's hot out here. You can do this. You don't have to pay somebody. It takes time. Yes, I highly recommend having somebody to help you if you got a buddy to help out with it, because I did, up until the last part, I did it all by myself, and it kind of sucked. So if you got a buddy, it definitely will kill some time and speed it up tremendously. But you can do it. Big note, whatever, make sure you have tools. And what I say is, don't go out trying to do a lift kit like this with just one of those little, you know, assortment of tools, little toolkits you get from the store. Like, make sure you have breaker bars, make sure you have pry bars or some type of bar, so you can, like, you know, pull things, like wedge things out. Make sure you got you a nice hammer, not no hammer, but like actual dead blow hammer, something at least 2 pound minimum. You know, make sure you got you some good jack stands, a good jack. Just have good tools, okay? Pneumatic tools will definitely help speed time up and decrease fatigue. So definitely, if you got pneumatic tools, that you're already on the right track. So just make sure you're prepared if you're gonna do something like this. Like I said, don't get scared. Camera cut out. So like I was saying, don't get scared. Don't get scared about it. Don't be timid or shy. Do it. You might like it, okay? So I mean, that's it really. So once again, thank you guys so much for checking out the channel, watching the videos and stuff. It's getting warm out here. Actually, it's been warm all day. It's humid, it's hot. Be on the lookout. I'm going to be making a video on everything I've had done to my truck so far. So I'm going to, hopefully this week, if it's clear weather, I'm going to get the truck cleaned up, and I'll talk about everything I've put into my truck and what all I have going on to my truck. For all the new subscribers and all the people who recently subscribed to the channel, make sure you check out the other videos. That way you get caught up and you're all spooled up on everything that's been going on with the truck. You know, backstory, what I'm trying to go for, stuff like that. I feel like that'll help you guys out a lot. But if not, that's why I'm also going to make this video, the next video, where I talk about everything I've done to the truck. So yeah, so other than that, that's going to be it. Until next time, you guys, it's hot as hell out here. Until next time, you guys have a good time and a good week. Take care, be safe, peace out, God bless.